Hi, this is Gary with MACMOST.com. Let me show you some creative and productive ways to customize your iPhone's home screens. So I want to start off with something simple here. You can eliminate the labels underneath the icons on your home screen and at the same time make the icons a little bit bigger. So to do this, like a lot of things I'm going to show you, you want to tap and hold in some blank space on your home screen. And then everything will start to wiggle like that and you'll get the edit button here at the top left. Tap the edit button and then go to customize. Now at the bottom, you get some controls here that allow you to customize how the icons look. The little button to the top right of that control will make the icons larger and take away the labels underneath. So if you don't really need the labels, if the icons are enough for you and you like them to be a little bigger, this is an easy change that'll make your iPhone's home screen a little better for you. Now, whether or not you use that or leave icons at the normal size with the labels, now you can use these buttons here below to change how all the icons look. So default is just the default icon created by the developer of the app. But you can go with the dark version of that as well, or use the auto setting here to have it change between default and dark depending on the time of day. You can also go with clear here, and then it's going to basically be see-through icons, so you'll see more of your wallpaper. But you can also choose the dark version of clear if you like, or auto to switch between them according to whether it's night or day. In addition to that, you can go with tinted. And then you've got three options here. Tinted the color of your iPhone. So if you've got, say, the blue iPhone, it will tint it blue. You've got the wallpaper kind of auto setting here. So it's going to look at the entire wallpaper and try to choose a color that's better, and you can adjust afterwards. But you can also use this last one here and then pick a spot in the wallpaper and it will use that color as the color for the tinting, and you can still adjust afterwards. So you can make it really any color you like. Now, another thing you can do with your home screen is remove some of the apps. Now, I don't mean delete the apps. A lot of times people think that if they remove something from the home screen, it's the equivalent to deleting the app, but that's not true any longer. So for instance, let's say you wanted to make some room here on this second page of your home screen, and you find that you just don't use the Translate app much. You can tap and hold that app there, and then you get the little context menu, and you can select Remove App. When you do, you'll be prompted as to whether you want it removed from the home screen or delete it. If you want to keep the app on your phone, just use Remove from Home Screen. And that saves some space here. I'll do it here for the iTunes Store as well. I'll remove and then say just remove it from the home screen. Now those apps are still on your iPhone and you can get to them either using Spotlight. So swipe down in the middle like that and then search for the app by name and you could tap there to launch it. Or you could simply swipe all the way over to the last screen, which is your app library. And here you'll see all your apps categorized. The top 3 in any category, you can just tap on the app to launch it. Or if it has more than 4, you can tap on the bottom right set there and it shows you all of those. Using this, you can get to any app you want, but you can also tap here at the top to search, and without even searching, you can still scroll an alphabetical list to find all of your apps there. So you don't need to have an app on the home screen to actually have it on your phone. For apps you rarely use, you may want to not have them on the home screen at all and rely on the app library screen or Spotlight to launch them. Now, if you like, you can also lock most apps. For instance, if you maybe hand your phone to your kid so they can play games in some situations, you may want to prevent them from accessing an app. Like I'll use Calendar here as an example. Tap and hold Calendar and you'll see Require Face ID. Or if your phone uses Touch ID, it'll say Require Touch ID. And if you select that, then in order to launch this app, it'll require Face ID. For me, it did it right away because it could see my face. But for somebody else, it will let them in the app. And you can always tap and hold an app here and turn off that option. So you can lock most apps this way. If you find these videos valuable, consider joining the more than 3,000 others that support MACMOST through Patreon. You get exclusive content, course discounts, and more. You can read about it at MACMOST.com/Patreon. Now you may notice here the default home screen has a weather widget and a news widget at the top. And you can use the widget as a way to access the app. It's kind of like just a big app icon. If I tap on that weather widget, it takes me to the weather app, which means I really don't need to have the weather icon here as it appears on the second screen. And that's true for a lot of apps. For instance, you can tap and hold on the Stocks app here, and you can convert that to a widget. You see these controls here. If you see that for an app, not all apps will have this. That means that there's a widget alternative to the app icon. The first one here represents a small square widget. It takes up the space of 4 icons. This is a wide one. Will go all the way across the screen. And this is one that will take up half the screen. So if I'm going to convert the Stocks app icon to a widget, I can just tap here and it'll convert it to a widget of that size. I can then tap and hold it and edit widget. And now I can set things. Different apps will have different settings. In this case, I can choose the watch list, for instance, to show. If I ever want to convert a widget back to an icon, I can do that as well. I can tap and hold and then convert it back to an icon like that. Now, as well as converting app icons, you can add other widgets. One widget that's particularly handy for a lot of people to add is a photo widget that shows their favorite photo. I'm going to tap and hold in a blank space, tap edit, and then choose add widget. I'm now going to search for photos and look at the photos widgets. Now the first set are for featured photos. Instead of that, I'm going to go right to album. I'm going to select this small widget here and I'm going to add it. And that will add a widget there and I can choose the album and then choose an album that only has one photo in it. This one is exactly that. So it'll show the album, but it only has one choice of photo. So that's the key there. Create an album called Home Screen Widget or something like that. Only put one photo in it and choose that as the one to show for that widget. Now you probably know that the 4 apps at the bottom in what's called the dock, they're available no matter which home screen you're looking at. But what if you want a 5th or 6th one that's also available on all of the home screens? Well, you can add an icon more than once. For instance, the camera app is on this home screen, but not on this home screen. But you can add it to the second home screen too. So you can go to the app library here, find it. In this case, it's just one of 4 here. So I can tap and hold. And then I'm going to drag it to the left to go to this screen here. And I'm going to place the camera app there. And now you can see it's on the second home screen. It's also on the first home screen. There's no limit to how many times you can place it. So you can actually even place it twice on the same screen. Like I could have it down here below as well, just to make it easier to hit no matter how I'm holding my iPhone. Now all these icons represent apps. You launch an app by tapping the icon, but you could also use them to access web pages. So when you go into Safari here, if there's a web page that you want easy access to, just go to the 3 dots button at the bottom and then tap Share and then tap View More. Then look for Add to Home Screen. Tap that and you can change the name here. You probably want to shorten the name and it uses the icon for the website and you can choose whether or not it opens as its own little web app or it's just a bookmark to go to Safari. So I'll add it here. Now I have a quick way to get to a website that I need to access probably far more frequently than some of these regular apps. You can add as many of these as you want. Add an entire screen or 2 filled with your most frequently visited websites. Now you can add multiple home screens. There are 2 here, but you can certainly go and add more, put some more icons on this and continue to add 4, 5, 6, 7 or more home screens. But there's another option. You can also use folders. Folders have been around for a long time, longer than most of these other features. You can just tap and hold any icon until everything wiggles and then drop one onto the other and then continue to drop more and more into folders. You can tap to go into the folder. You can rename the folder. You can have multiple screens inside of a folder. So you can have a lot of apps easily available through one more tap to go into the folder first. Another useful technique is to have your home screens automatically change based on your focus. In other words, the time of day. So for instance, let's say at night, you don't want to have all of these app icons easily available to you. You only want to have certain ones. So I'm going to go to the app library here, and I'm going to start with just a few, like for instance, the podcast app. And I'll place that there. I'll also add the music app to that home screen, the books app for reading, and the weather app in case I want to check the weather just before going to sleep. So I'll just grab these four available to me on a single home screen that I see in the evening. I can arrange them however I want. So I've got this as a third home screen here, duplicating icons that are already on the first two. So the next step is to go into the settings app. And then in there, look for focus. And then you see all your focus modes, including some default ones. I'm going to use the default evening one here. And I'm going to go down to customize screens. And I'm going to go to the second part here where I can choose my home screens. And I'm going to say I only want this one. And then I'm going to say OK. And now when I switch to evening focus, which should happen automatically in the evening, this is the only home screen I have. You can see there's no other one available. So you can create all these additional home screens that are for specific times of the day or focus modes, and just assign those screens to those focus modes and not other ones. Here's a bonus tip. One thing you'll see on your home screens, in addition to the icons and the widgets, are badges. Badges are things like this little number here that tells you there's a notification for this app. You could turn them off. You could do it on an app by app basis. So go into settings and then go to notifications. And then you're going to scroll down and find the app that you want to turn badges off for. So reminders here, and then simply turn off badges like that. And now you won't see the badges here on your home screen anymore. And here's one last tip. Let's say you've experimented a lot with your home screens and you want to just start from scratch. You want to put the home screens back to how they would be by default if you just set up your iPhone. It's going to include all the default apps and all of your other apps as well. And then you could basically start from scratch and customize from there. There's a way to reset your home screen. Go into settings and then go to general. At the bottom of general, you'll find transfer or reset iPhone. Doesn't sound like the right place for this, but this is where it is. Go into here and you tap reset. Don't worry, it's not going to reset everything right away. You're asked what you want to reset. And yeah, there's some dangerous things here like reset all settings. You probably don't want to do that, but there is the reset home screen layout. If you use that, it just takes away all the customizations there. All of your app icons and widgets are set to the default for a new iPhone. And then you can start customizing again from there if you like. Hope you found these tips useful. Thanks for watching. Want to know about every new MACMOST video each week? Sign up for the absolutely free MACMOST email newsletter at macmost.com/newsletter.